So it should be setting it up.
Okay.
And we are live. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Veronica Lynch, and I'm here with Letitia Adams for our Survivor September campaign. We are going to wait a little bit before we jump into like our conversation and everything, just to give people time to join and to maybe ask any questions that they have. But yes, I'm so excited to see you again and to be talking to you again. I think this is great.
It's been a while. You said like a year?
Yes, yeah, I know.
A year.
It's
time flies. Time flies.
Yeah. I know. I was talking about how my year with like DAP is coming up soon, and I was like, that's insane. Because I feel like
you're gonna have like
forever, but I also feel like I just started. So
it'd be a year for you being there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A year in November. Yeah.
Wow. Everything's in November, right?
Yeah, my birthday,
My birthday as well.
So we're Scorpio sisters.
I'm a Sagittarius.
What day in November then?
The end. I'm the 30th.
Oh, okay. I'm 3rd.
Oh, okay. Beginning and end.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we already have a good amount of people on. So I think that's awesome. So like I said, my name is Veronica Lynch, and I am the Outreach Awareness Specialist for the Domestic Abuse Project of Delaware County. This month, we are hosting our Survivor September campaign, and I'm with a great guest speaker who I met last year at DAP when I first started through our JARS training. And I'll let her introduce herself, and yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Letitia Adams. I'm Parabliss on Facebook, and I'm here to help someone and tell my story.
Yay. And I'm so excited. I think, you and I talked privately before. You have great things to share with us tonight. Yes. So I'll start. I have some questions prepared. So I'll start with our first one. Okay. So we know your name and we know who you are, but is there any part of your story that you would like to share with our audience tonight?
Well, all of it in a whole, I would believe it was, I'm not going to say it was all bad. I'm just going to put that out there. It wasn't all bad at all. There was some good points there, but, when they were bad, they were bad. Okay. So there were like 4 instances that I can, think of that were like bad. But the one that I can really relate to would be the one where my leg got broke. Okay. The verbal that was there, the emotional, all that was there. But the point of me getting my leg broke, it got to the point where I wasn't answering the phone fast enough. So when I called him back, it was like, well, where were you? And I'm like, well, I was in the bathroom. So of those of you who do not know, I'm in a wheelchair. So it'll take time for me to get to the bathroom or to do whatever I have to do. So I called him back and it was a problem, and I can hear it in his voice that he was upset. Mm-hmm. So each time I called, he would hang up on me. So I knew he was mad. So I didn't pay no mind. So when he came home from work, he was still upset or whatever. So I saw that he was upset. So I'm like, well, what is wrong with you? So he was like, well, why didn't you answer the phone when I called? And earlier, like I said, when you called me, I was in the bathroom, so I couldn't get to the phone fast enough. So, we started our little nitpicking and arguing. But the reason why he was upset, it was because he thought that I was with the neighbor next door. Mm. So, which I wasn't, but that was his thinking, that I was with the neighbor next door. Yeah. So we got to arguing about that. And the thing that I didn't like the most about that is because the neighbor heard us arguing about him saying that I was with the guy next door. Mm-hmm. So at some point in time, I thought that the neighbor was going to come over and be like, she wasn't over here or something of the sort. He never even came to the room. Mm-hmm. So, we got to arguing, and I went to go get up, and, he pushed and choked me. So I'm trying to get up to get to my wheelchair, and he moved my wheelchair deliberately and made me fall, and that's how my leg got broke. Okay. So I'm sitting on the floor, crying, and my leg is shifted to the left, and I'm telling him that my leg is broke. So I'm calling the cops, or the ambulance to come help me. He's like, oh, now you're going to call the cops. So he's arguing with me while I'm on the phone with 911 to have someone come and help me. So at this time, one of the neighbors, he had come over, and the guy that in question had left. So the cops and the ambulance came in. They helped me get to the hospital. And the guy next door that we were arguing about still never came out to see what was
Okay.
going on. So we get to the hospital, um, and they're checking my leg and stuff. So the police came. They came in, and so they were asking me, "Well, what is his name?"
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get him in any trouble, so I
Mm-hmm.
gave them a fake name.
Okay.
So they were like, "Are you sure that's his name?" And I'm like, "Yes," because we had arguments before, but this was to the extreme. And at this point, I still didn't want to get him in any trouble. I wasn't worrying about me. I was still worried about him.
Yeah.
So the cop was like, "Well, if you don't tell me his real name, then you're going to be in trouble as well." So they showed me his picture. They say, "Now, what is his name again?" So,
Okay.
like, of course, I'm not going to go down for something that I didn't do. So
Yeah.
I gave, the cop his real name. And then we're going to fast forward. I went home. My children came and got me. I went back to, because I wasn't home. I was away. So I came back to Pennsylvania. And then I'm going to say like 2 weeks after I went back, it was, and this the thing, it wasn't about fear because I wasn't scared of him. It wasn't about financial because I had my own means to get around or whatever I had to do, but it's because I loved him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like my family and everybody was all mad at me, but I thought I saw potential in him. I just wanted to show him what love was, and now that I learned you you can't like try to teach somebody love. It has to already be there. And
Mm-hmm.
even if someone tries to show you as much love as you possibly can, if that person doesn't receive it like that, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So it was at that moment that it was like, I can't do this anymore, and my family was upset with me, prior to, when I kept going back with the black eyes, with the busted lips, with the verbal and all that, with the stealing from me and all that. But I had to get tired.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how many times people told me not to go, no matter how many times my family members like, well, I'm going to beat them up, I'm going to do this and that. I don't want you getting involved. I don't want nobody getting involved in my relationship, because at the end of the day, if I go back, the family is still going to be mad, and I done forgave him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a double-edged sword. Sometimes you want to tell your family what's going on, but then sometimes you don't, because when you get back with that person, they don't see what you see in that person.
Yeah, and it can cause conflicts between your family
Right.
that you don't want, right? Because you love your family
Yes.
as much.
Yes. And my daughters, they despise him. My mom, my
Okay.
dad, everyone that knew about it, because they were like, "Well, Tish, you're better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you still with him? You're better than that." And I was like, I love him, but I'm gonna also say, because I'm in a wheelchair, at one point I thought that nobody wanted me
Okay.
like I was before the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So with someone showing me attention and showing me in the beginning that they loved me, I took that and I ran with it. Well, I rode with it because I wanted a relationship.
Yeah.
So I wanted a relationship to the point where I was putting up with certain things that I know that I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end of the day, it's like you're better than that. There's someone out there that will love you for yourself, and there's someone out there that will love you and appreciate you for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in 2015. I left and I've been home and I never looked back.
Okay, so you mentioned that you went back after the 2 weeks after you breaking your leg. What did that look? How did that feel for you to go back? How was that? Was that a hard decision, or is that something that you planned on doing? Was that something that came up and you went?
Well, I didn't say I planned on doing it, because of course my children were definitely against me going
Okay.
back. But I think it was more so with him calling me,
Okay.
and with me loving him. And he's like, "I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." And I'm like, well, maybe he will,
Mm-hmm.
and I went back. But then once I went back and I saw that it was still the same, I was like, you know what, this is it. I can't do it no more.
And how was it to leave that? What was that like for you?
to leave to go back to him.
To go home back to Pennsylvania.
Um, it wasn't hard, but I would say it was more so embarrassing.
Okay.
Because each time we had a dispute or went through something, he would call my kids.
Gotcha.
Like we're kids. So now you're letting my kids know what's going on here. Like they're going to take your side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that made it worse. So with me going through what I'm going through there, and then with me coming home, I definitely got the talks and a tongue lashing from my children as to be expected because I'm their mom.
Yeah.
And I got it from my dad, I got it from my sisters, I got it from everyone. But again, at that point, I don't know how to explain it. I felt for him. Like I loved him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the hard part.
No, I think you brought up some really incredible points there that people don't really talk about a lot, right? Whether you're staying in fear for your life or because you need that person as a financial security, but also the fact that love exists in these relationships. So I think that thank you for sharing that and bringing that to light and like bringing that perspective out.
Right. And then people will probably say, well, what is love if you're getting hit on? What is love? I mean, I guess love takes on different forms.
Yeah.
And then I guess I really, again, it wasn't all bad. The relationship, again, it wasn't all bad. He had his good points, but things happen.
Okay. Yeah. And so my next question would be, what power and control tactics were evident? But you brought up physical abuse and verbal abuse. Was there anything else that took place in your relationship?
No, just more so it was more so a lot of verbal and physical, like when he wouldn't get his way.
Okay.
He would get physical. But it was more so it was verbal on my end as well. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was Miss Goody Two Shoes because I wasn't.
Okay.
But I had to defend myself in certain ways, and so it came out.
Okay, yeah, right. Survival tactics that come out when we are in these situations, definitely. So, my next question is, did this person have a history of domestic violence that you maybe knew about, or what red flags were evident in the relationship?
Well, I don't know if he had a history of violence or anything like that on females.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say I will maybe after I left him, someone else that he was with gave me a call,
Okay.
and asked me, why was he like this and things like that. And it's like I don't know, like what you're calling me and telling me was the same things that he did to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you. All I can tell you is just to leave because it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And then she didn't listen, and of course it got worse. So I tried to tell her, and that's another thing. Just like with people, when you have to be on Megan's Law and everyone has to know who you are and stuff like that. I feel as though sometimes with the domestic violence, if it's that bad, I feel as though they should have like a hotline with the person's pictures or whatever. So if someone else were to get into a relationship, they don't have nobody else to ask. But maybe if you look the person up, and that can give you a red flag right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, how was that conversation for you, having that and hearing from that person?
Well, so it's someone that he cheated on me with, so I wasn't really ready to hear the conversation. But at the same time, I don't know why I took the call, but I did. And I'm talking to her, and I'm telling her, if someone were able to tell me what was going on, I probably wouldn't believe them. I probably would still listen, but still go through it myself to see if it is. And that's a tricky thing too, because somebody can tell you something is wrong, and you'll hear it and you'll take heed to it, but you'll still do the opposite of what they're telling you not to do.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's so tricky, right? There's a lot of layers to that, and when you're in the moment, it can be hard to like unpack all that, especially if if you haven't reached that point in your own healing to be able to aid someone else in their healing. Right. It can definitely, that adds a lot of like pressure and yeah.
And so then it's like, well, he did it to you. That don't mean I'm not you. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, well, you tried to tell me. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
that could be maybe some possible shame involved after having that. So,
Right.
well, that's really, yeah, that's real powerful. So how
Mm-hmm.
long were the two of you together?
3 years.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
when did the violence begin? Was it at the start, or was it something that was consistent?
No, I'm gonna say, well, we lived in Pennsylvania and we moved.
Okay.
So when we moved, I'm gonna say a year, maybe a year after we moved, that's when things just went different. So when we moved, I wasn't around. I didn't have no family there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking about it in depth, I'm like, I understand every step that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you're somewhere where there's no family, it's like you feel so vulnerable because you have nobody to call out to, and everybody is just so far away.
Yeah. Isolation is no joke. It
Mm-hmm.
has serious effects and can be very powerful in keeping a person there as well. When you feel as if that is the only person that you have around. Of course, you
Yeah.
like bond and you want to have somebody that you know and that you're familiar with and that you love, and that, especially when you're in an unfamiliar place.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, was there an impact on your children? You mentioned that your children would call you up and they were involved in the
Mm-hmm.
fights that you were having. Did they, what was that like for them? And what was it like for them now?
Well, then it was, it was more so, Mom, you need to come home, and, Mom, why are you still there? You don't need to be with him, but again, I wanted that relationship. I wanted that love. So I wasn't really trying to hear what my children or anybody had to say, because
Okay.
this was something that I had to go through. But at the same time, it was still affecting my children,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at it now. They're more protective of me now,
Mm-hmm.
and if I do speak with anyone, it's like they need to know who they are, and take it slow or whatever it is, because I've been through it that first time. They don't want myself or them to go through that situation again.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
not going to allow myself or my children or the family members that were involved to ever go through that again.
I think it's great to have such a strong support system and to have people who are there for you no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And what were the conversations like with your children after that, after you left? What were things that you talked about?
Well, we try not to talk about them
Okay. Yeah.
because it was like something that they didn't even want to think about anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes they'll bring up like little. We'll laugh at it now,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll bring up little instances. As I'm gonna say, one instances was, I had came home and my daughter had made me dinner, and
Mm-hmm.
she wrote my name in ketchup on the plate. So I
Okay.
took a picture of it and I put it on Facebook, and the person in question got on Facebook and was like, "Oh, I guess you want to go home and have somebody make you a dinner and write your name and ketchup. I could have done that." And it's funny because again, you're assuming it's another gentleman even then, and
Yeah.
it was my daughter that made the meal. So it's like your mentality is still the same.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's just like exasperating. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, like what? And that's another thing. Sometimes I was always accused of things, and in the end, it wasn't even me; it was him.
Mm-hmm.
But because he was doing it, I was being accused of it, and that's what some of the arguments started as well.
Okay. So yeah, that even sounds like some mental like or psychological abuse, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
gaslighting there, and then there's
Yes,
blaming and minimizing their own behavior.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That was definitely there.
So were there any services or agencies that supported you during this time? Anywhere that you reached out to?
At that time, I wasn't worried about reaching out to
Okay.
any services, or I wasn't even really wanting to reach out to my family, because I figured what we went through, we could have figured it out or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
because of him wanting to tell everybody like it was going to solve anything, that
Yeah.
made them get involved. But for me, I didn't have any. I wasn't looking for any services or anything to help me with that, because again, it wasn't like I was afraid of him, because I
Oh
kept
yeah.
going back. And
Okay.
it wasn't about finance, because I was able to support myself. It was,
Yeah.
again, it was that love thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was love is a crazy thing, man.
True. Yeah. I can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So were there any materials like books or song or art that inspired you during that or that you see now and like get strength from?
Well, my daughter, when I was away, she told me about Fantasia. You have to sometimes you have to lose to win.
Okay.
Meaning, even though I'm with him, I have to lose. I have to lose the situation to regain myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a song that she would always play for me, and I would listen to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I love to ask these things, because I think art and like music is so powerful, and sometimes
It
it can just
does.
really like bring up just strength and
Mm-hmm.
feelings that you didn't know that you had before. So,
Right.
and I think it's great if there's anyone else going through something similar, they can listen to that song. And yeah.
Yeah, we're like, yes. Sometimes you gotta
Yeah.
lose to win.
So you mentioned before, this one is going to be a like easier question, but who was your strongest support system? I know your children. I've heard you talk about them lots of times. So
Man, they're my backbone. It's just me and my children because
yeah.
their father, my husband, was killed in '95.
Okay.
So that left a scar on them and myself. And then I got into the car accident in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
That left another strain on them and myself. So it's just been me and them since '95.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so they're for you, and I know you're there for them through thick and thin, and I love
whatever.
that.
They're my babies.
So this question too is easier. So was anyone aware? So I know you're like they would involve your children in your relationship, but beyond that, how did people find out, or how were people aware of the abuse that was taking place?
Again, from him calling my children,
Yeah.
and then from my children probably, telling family members or whatever what was going on.
Gotcha.
Because I know I didn't call my dad, but my dad ended up finding out. My sister found out because at the time we were living with someone, and she heard us fighting,
Mm-hmm.
and she had got my phone, and she called my sister and was telling my sister that you need to come down here and get your sister. I feel as though she shouldn't be with him or whatever. So my sister got involved that way because
Okay.
again, the person who was living with, she got involved and she called my sister.
Okay. And did
Mm-hmm.
your family members approach you about the situation, and were like, how did those conversations go about?
No, they. Well, my dad called me, of course, being a father. He called me, but with my everyone called me out of concern.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, I told everybody that I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to worry about. And then, of course, they were all like, "Well, you shouldn't be down there. You need to come home." So everybody was saying that, but at the end of the day, no matter, I can have 1,000 people telling me the same thing. I have to be tired.
Absolutely.
I have to be ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was just tired. I didn't want to do it no more.
Yeah. I think that's a great point that you bring up, because DAP actually, we function on a empowerment model. So that means that we're not here to make decisions for anyone. We are here to support people and give them options and support them
Right.
with whatever option that they choose, and help them make the best decisions for themselves, because you are the only one going through this, like, that relationship in that scenario. And so you are the expert in what is best for you. And
Right.
sometimes you have to reach that point where you're like, this, I have to leave this.
Right.
So if anyone's ever worried about coming to DAP and they're still in the relationship, just know that we will not judge you for that. That is your choice. And we just want to be here to make sure that you are safe no matter what. So if that's a relationship that you're still in, we'll still be here to make sure you're safe while in that relationship. So don't ever fear that we will judge you for that.
Yes. Yes.
So we met through the JARS training. And so I would
Yes.
love to know, how can agencies like DAP better support victims?
Well, I'm going to speak for the disabled.
Okay.
So if at the safe houses or something, if they had maybe medical supplies, like say
Okay.
I'm gonna use myself for instance.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to come to the DAP program, would you have like the pads that I would need? Would you have like self catheters that I would need?
Okay.
Would the bathroom be accessible for me?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a ramp or steps that I would be able to get in? So there will be things that, or if is there a doctor on call that the person may need at that time? Okay. Or even if they're blind or braille or more deaf, anything, are there implements there that can help that disabled person at that safe house? So I think that would be something that that would be good to have. If you don't have it right now, that would be something that to have.
Definitely. I know we do have like handicap accessible rooms, and we have a room specifically for that, as well as bathrooms, but as well as medical supplies. I can't speak for that because I'm not 100% sure, but that's 100. You are 100% correct about that. I think that's something that might, if you're not experiencing it, might not come to the forefront of your head when you're thinking about what
Right.
supplies need to be on hand. We think about sanitary supplies such as like if anyone needs like tampons, pads, deodorant, things like that. But yeah, I think that's a great perspective. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. This platform is just have me do all this research. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, now you know my job. I'm constantly doing research. So now you're getting a taste of the life of Veronica. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
And how can friends and family support their loved ones who are going through this?
I'm gonna say don't beat them down.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're, like you said, they're not you and you're not going through it. So until you've been through it yourself, you would never understand what that person is going through. So don't tell them you're dumb. Don't tell them don't go back. You're stupid. Don't do any of that, because it's not going to do nothing but put them down more, and it's going to push them back to the person who they thought that they loved. So just be, open and honest with them. Tell them it's going to be okay. When you're ready to talk about it, just come to me and talk about it. I'm always here for you. Or if you need some services or anything, I can look them up for you while you're here. But don't put them down.
Yeah.
Because they're already going through enough mentally.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to their family members or whomever should just be there to, embrace them and just help them get through whatever it is that they have to get through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I talk a lot about with my middle school students. But I asked them like how they would have these conversations with their friends, and a couple of them, their first response is like, "Well, I would show tough love," and I have to break down like how is that love different from what they're experiencing, right? Like I understand we're coming from a place of concern and fear for their safety, but we have to analyze what power and control are we taking away from this person in this relationship, just that they're losing in the other relationship that you are fearful of. So yeah, exactly. I think that's a great point to bring. So if anyone's watching and they're wondering how to talk to their friend or family member that is going through this, like Letitia said, open and honest conversations, supporting them and listening to what they have to say. So how's your experience influenced who you are now? Maybe your job, your relationships, what are your new goals and dreams?
How am I doing now? I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, how has your experience influenced how you are now?
I'm going for Miss Wheelchair Pennsylvania Ambassador Program. That's in October. And with me going through what I've been through, my platform is to talk about the disabled, the domestic violence in the disabled community. So that helped me I want to be a voice for those who cannot speak about it or those who do not have a voice.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned you've been doing research. Has there been a specific topic that you're researching, and what has that research look like?
I'm more so looking at the statistics with the disabled community. Okay. That's where I'm looking at more so there. That's where I want to advocate for.
Perfect. That's great. Has your experience influenced your self-image? I know that you're a very positive and optimistic person. So how has that come to be about?
It's made me a better person. It's made me more confident in myself. Yeah. It made me know what I do and don't want and what I will and won't put up with. That's the main thing right there. So it's taught me to have a better outlook on life and have a better outlook on what I want for myself. Yeah.
And so, what message would you like to get out there to individuals who are going through a controlling relationship themselves?
I would say that if you do not have anybody to talk to, that there are people out there that you can talk to, and whatever it is that you decide, that would be on your time. If you're going through a long term, if you're going through a short term, just talk about it, because at the end of the day, you have to do what's better for you. You have to do what's better for you. Like you have to know your work to know it's better things out there than to go through what you're going through right now.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so, my last question, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has
You're
been
so welcome.
so
This is
refreshing to
awesome.
talk with you and to hear what you have to say. But are there
Mhm.
any resources that you want to get out there to people that you know of, or any last information or things that you would like to share with our audience tonight?
I don't have any particular research, but I will say, if you do have any questions or concerns, that you can always reach out to the DAP program located in media, and then someone there will definitely help you with your questions and concerns that you have in any relationship situation that you may have.
Thank you. Shameless plug. Yeah, so it's
Hey.
we did not pay her. So
No, you did not. You did not.
So thank you so much. This has been phenomenal. I always love talking with you. You're so positive. You always
Thank you.
always smiling and always
Thank
bringing such
you.
good energy. So if anyone would like to ask Letitia any questions, you can always comment on this video, and I can email her and like get her responses and let people know. Or you can call our hotline and ask. And again, I can always pass those questions along.
Yes, I'm here to open. I'm here to answer all the questions.
Yes. And oh, is
Mhm.
there anywhere so with your for the pageant, right? Or the ambassador program that's coming up. Is there
Yes.
anything that we should look out for that? Any,
Um,
events or anything?
it's going to be on. It's October 18th.
Okay.
Um, and it's virtual because of the COVID, so it's virtual.
Hmm.
And it's going to be on Zoom, and it's going to be live. So
Okay,
I'm going
cool.
to post it to my page so it'll be live.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. We'll check it out. And thank you so much, everyone. Please enjoy
It's
the rest of your
okay. Good night.
night.